Welcome in, everybody. This is the Fantasy 4, and we're set to bring you our 6 through 1 running back rankings, standard scoring. Don't worry, we'll hit you with the PPR very soon. Before we get the show started, as always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. That way, we can better take care of you throughout the fantasy offseason and, of course, the all-important fantasy regular season. So, first things first, raise a glass. We got to do a little cheers to start the show.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. Monday!
You guys watching at home, better make sure you got a beer in your hand, too. Feel part of the group. Without further ado, here is my 6 through 1. Number 6. Aaron Jones. I know that might sound surprising to some of you out there. You're like, wait a minute, Aaron Jones lit the world on fire last year. 16 touchdowns. Finishes the number 3 fantasy running back in terms of total points, and also finished third last year in points per game at 16.6 fantasy points per game. But they got a new running back, drafted him in the second round, and you do not take a running back in the second round unless you plan to use him. So I think that dips into Aaron Jones' numbers this year, falls back a bit from 3 down to 6. Now, number 5 is a guy a lot of you probably have ranked a lot higher. So it's going to be a bit of a surprise to you, but hear me out on this one. Number 5, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry last year finished second in fantasy points. He had 276 total fantasy points. That was good for second best. He also had 18 fantasy points per game last year. That was also good for second best. Now, he did that across 15 games, so he only missed one game. So you're thinking, why do I have him ranked 5th? Here's why. They used him like crazy in the playoffs, okay? They gave him carries like it was nobody's business. Coming in a year where it's crazy with the whole COVID thing, people away from the building for a while, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of wear and tear on there. Not enough to affect him drastically, but enough for his numbers to slip a little bit. I got him dropping from 2 down to 5. Number 4, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook last year had 239 total fantasy points. That was good for 5th. 17 fantasy points per game. That was good for 3rd. He played in 14 games last year. He would have probably finished top 2 in fantasy points had he played those final 2 games, but he didn't. But I have him coming in on the season at number 4. Number 3. Saquon Barkley. Now, I know he had an injury last year. That's why his numbers were down. But I think it was kind of a fluke injury. I don't see it as it being a consistent thing. They just drafted a brand new shiny left tackle in the top 5 in the draft that I like a lot. He'll come in, start right away. So he's got some good offensive linemen to run by. So I think he'll be much improved this year. He did finish, as I mentioned, 192 points last year. That was good for 10th best. 15 fantasy points per game. No, that's the big number. That was good for 5th best. So 5th in fantasy points per game, and that was across those 13 games he played. Improved offensive line equals better numbers for Saquon this year. Number 2, Zeke the Freak Elliott. I love Zeke Elliott. Why? Because he plays 16 games every year. He's consistent. The offensive line is good. And now adding CeeDee Lamb, the receivers are better. So that's going to open up the running game more for the Cowboys. And always points for last year, 257 points. That was good for 4th best in the league. 16 fantasy points per game. That was good for 3rd, tied for 3rd. I like those numbers to stay on pace with that, maybe even improve this year. Number 1, of course, hate to say it, NFC South team, but you gotta go Christian McCaffrey. He finished with 355 fantasy points last year. That was the best in the league. 22 fantasy points per game. That was the best by a mile. Second best last year was Derrick Henry, who was 18 points per game. So that was 4 points less than Christian McCaffrey. And this is standard scoring. This isn't even PPR. So that's for a whole nother show that we'll dip into that. Actually, our next show coming up, we'll get you started on our PPR rankings, but that is good for best. I like those numbers to continue. And not to mention, they're bringing in offensive coordinator from LSU who used to be on the offensive side for the New Orleans Saints. And you know how they like to play with Alvin, have different plays set up for him. I like Christian McCaffrey a lot this year. He is going to dominate again. Draft him number 1 overall if you have the number 1 pick. It's not rocket science. You get the 1 pick in the draft, you get Christian McCaffrey. So that is my 6 through 1. So, Little Rocket Man, what were your thoughts on my 6 through 1? Tell me what you like.
What's up? It's the Sicilian going to help you make $1 million, baby. What's going on? All right, so Eric, the one thing I got to say is Saquon Barkley at 3, that's like a slap in the face. I mean, come on, man. This guy is a machine. This is probably the best running back in the league. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey lit it on fire last year, but let's be honest. He got paid. Now it's time for him to get laid. He's going to get a little lazy. He ain't number 1 this year, baby. Let me hit you with my 6 through 1, okay? So number 6. This fills out my tier 3. So this is Nick Chubb. This guy ran for just under 1,500 yards last year. He's a freaking monster. This guy, Kareem Hunt's on the team. I get it. Yeah, he was a freak in Kansas City, but he's not in Kansas no more. Toto went home, okay? So Kareem Hunt's going to be there, but he's number 2. Number 5, this is my tier 2 now. Number 5 is Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke he's awesome, but let's be honest. Dallas has a lot of mouth to feed. They have Dak Prescott. He's on a contract year, of course. They just drafted CeeDee Lamb. They got Michael Gallup. They got freaking Amari Cooper. I mean, there's just so much going on in this offense. They're going to score a lot of points. Zeke's a top 5 running back, but he's 5. That's what he is. Number 4, I got Dalvin Cook. You hit that guy right on the head. I mean, he had a full season where he was healthy. He was a workhorse in college. This guy's a machine. If he gets hurt, he's risky. Of course, he's risky. So, take it with a grain of salt. But Dalvin Cook, when he's on the field, he's a machine, man. He's one of the most dangerous running backs on the field. Number 3, I got Derrick, my man, Henry. This guy is like a tugboat. Jerome Bettis, who? This is Derrick Henry, man. And when the game's on the line in the playoffs, I know you mentioned that they overworked him in the playoffs. They didn't overwork him. That's what that guy needs. He needs to eat. You feed that man the rock. He's like Popeye. You give him some spinach, he's ready to roll. This guy's going to take that and keep on running, okay? He had, what do I got here, 16 touchdowns, over 1,500 yards rushing, and cherry on top, he caught 2 receiving touchdowns. This guy ain't a receiver, but he's doing it all. He's catching the ball. He's scoring. This guy is the whole offense. Ryan Tannehill's good, but Derrick Henry is that team, okay? Now, number 2, C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey. He's, like I said, had the best year last year, but he got paid. He's going to get laid, baby. He's out there right now getting laid. I can promise you that. He's going to be a little bit lazy. They have Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to try and throw the rock. I mean, they brought in Robbie Anderson. This is not Christian McCaffrey's offense 100%. It's his offense, but not 100%. This is Teddy B's team, baby, and I'm on the bandwagon. But he's number 2. I mean, you can probably interchange him with Saquon Barkley, who comes in number 1 on my list. Saquon Barkley, like I said, he's probably the best running back in football. This guy, they don't make him like him. He's a freak of nature. He's got size. He's got speed. He's got power. I mean, he's got a shitty team. I'll give you that. But I'll tell you what, they're going to feed him the rock because that's all they got. Saquon Barkley is the number 1 running back, fantasy football next year. Take that to the bank.
All right. I like it. What was that you said? The Sicilian that's going to make you $1 million? What was that?
Oh, baby, I'm the Sicilian that's going to make you $1 million. Come on with me. What they
I love it. All right, so let's kick it to the Drunken Dolphin. Josh Sirocco, hit us with yours, 6 through 1.
Starting with my number 6 running back. I got, it's Alvin Kamara. Okay, this guy's going to have a nice bounce-back season right here. 2 years ago, rushed for 14 touchdowns. Last year, slipped to 5 touchdowns on the ground. Only caught 1 touchdown last year. He just couldn't find the end zone as much as he did the previous season. Sean Payton knows what happened. He's going to find creative ways to get this guy the football. I like Kamara having a bounce-back year. He's going to be a top-tier player, worthy of probably a first-round pick in your fantasy football draft. Number 5, we are going. You guys are not going to like this, but I'm going to love this. This guy just got paid last year, okay? What happens historically when a running back gets paid, fellas? He doesn't produce as much as he normally does. Now, he's going into year 2 of having money. This is Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to be the number 5 running back this year in fantasy football, okay? The Cowboys showed last year that they're making it a point to throw the football. Mike McCarthy, as Two Sands always likes to remind me, Mike McCarthy likes to throw the football. Okay, when he's telling me on Dallas's receivers, I think Dak Prescott might have a nice year again. I don't think he's going to throw 4,900 yards, but I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to take a he's going to see a dip in touches of the football this year because I think McCarthy is going to make it a point to just sling it around. I think that Elliott might catch his normal 50 passes, 60 passes, whatever it is, but I don't think he's going to be a top 2-3 running back in fantasy this year like everybody else has this clown in. So stay away from Ezekiel Elliott because the price that you're going to pay for this guy is not worth the production you're going to get. Like I said, year 2 of getting paid, it's going down, boys. Moving on. Another shot was taken at a guy, okay. This one's funny because Toussaint thinks he's so groundbreaking on this and had him at like his number 12 back. Leonard Fournette is a sleeping giant this year, sitting at number 4 in a contract year. They are going to run the piss out of Leonard Fournette. This guy, even on a bad year last year, ran 1,100 yards, okay, had his best yards per carry at 4.3 last year. And get this, no one's even talking about this. Last year, Leonard Fournette caught 76 passes. Okay, he ran 1,100 yards, caught 76 passes for another 500 and something yards. This guy's a sleeping giant. He's going to have a better year than Elliott, and he's going to be a top 4 running back this year. So you can sleep on him all you want. I think me and Trey are the only 2 that had him in our list. He had him way down there. I don't know why you guys are sleeping on this guy. Tremendous value for Leonard Fournette. Number 3, Joey's number 1, Little Rocket Man's number 1 guy, Saquon Barkley. He's got a great setup. He's got a quarterback going into year 2 who's not lighting the world on fire. He's the best player on the offense, probably the best player on the team. They're going to give him the football. You know, last year he got hurt a few weeks. I think he only played 12, 13 games, barely cracked 1,000 yards on the ground. He's definitely a threat catching the ball. He's going to put up solid numbers. He's definitely going to put up top 3 numbers. I think for as long as he's in his prime and healthy, he's going to be a top 3 back no matter what. You'll get your money's worth out of Saquon Barkley. Number 2, man, I had such a hard time going back and forth between my top 2, but I'm checking Derrick Henry in at number 2. I don't think the number of touches he had in the playoffs last year is going to be remotely a factor on wear and tear on this guy. But last year, over 15 games, 1,500 yards. I mean, it's easy math to do right there. 100 yards a game on the ground. Not to mention 200 more yards through the air last year. But this guy was the offense. They got, Ryan Tannehill got a lot of credit. Love Ryan Tannehill. Historically, Ryan Tannehill's not a very good quarterback unless he's got a pretty good offensive line, a pretty good defense, and a solid running game. Tannehill's best year in Miami was when Jay Ajayi was just running absolutely crazy against defenses. Derrick Henry is a monster. He's not slowing down anytime soon. You could rely on this guy. Draft him number 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to draft him, but he's going to be the anchor. He's going to carry you just like he did last year. What a monster. And then my obvious number 1 is Christian McCaffrey. This guy's not slowing down. He's only going to get better. Teddy Bridgewater can't beat anybody by himself. Everybody knows that. Matt Rule knows that. Who do you think Matt Rule's putting the ball in the hands of? Christian McCaffrey, right? Yeah, this guy's going to catch probably 100. You know, he's going to get 1,000 yards receiving. He's going to have his 1,000 yards rushing. He's probably going to score 20-something touchdowns again, right? What did he have last year? 15 on the ground, 4 through the air, so he had 19 touchdowns. I would look for him to exceed those numbers this year. And here's the cool part about Christian McCaffrey. He's playing in the NFC South. He's got no spotlight whatsoever on him. I mean, Brady, Breeze, the whole shebang's on the spotlight's on those 2 guys. This guy can quietly go to work, put up his numbers, be the star in a pretty small market town. McCaffrey, he's not anywhere near slowing down. Like I said, he's in the prime of his career, the best running back in football, maybe the best football player in the NFL right now.
Definitely a shocker there with the Fournette pick. Very bold. Appreciate you having the guts to put that one out there, especially considering he's had the injury concerns, which is actually interesting because you mentioned the Dalvin Cook injury concerns, but you're not afraid of the Fournette one. So interesting there. But also, I got to give you had Alvin Kamara there, top 6. You said he was kind of lost last year. He was playing hurt all last year. He was definitely banged up. I think it had a lot to do with that. So last but certainly not least, 2 cents, Trey Lewis Sands. What is your 6 through 1?
All right, so first off, let's get something straight. Judge is with the Giants. It's Matt Rule with the Carolina Panthers, and that makes me very happy for the sake of fantasy football because all these guys in here are just sleeping, and I love it. So we're going to start with 6. I don't know how this guy doesn't get better. Joe Mixon. I mean, he gets T. Higgins. He gets Joe Burrow. Joe, the show, he's going to let you know. He's going to throw it. How does this guy not get better? He's number 6. Number 5, you guys are going to love this. Saquon Barkley. You know the big problem with Saquon Barkley? I'll give it to you. It's the New York Giants. They suck, and everybody knows that. And everybody knows what they're going to do. and they're going to do one or two things. Run the ball with Saquon or throw the ball to Saquon. So what do you think a defense is going to do? Well, let's just stop Saquon Barkley and see what they can do. Still love the guy, but he's number 5 on my list. Number 4, Zeke Elliott. Now, when we go to, as far as, the Drunken Dolphin said, I totally agree with the fact that Mike McCarthy is going to pass the ball more. Now, as far as Dak Prescott's concerned, you don't think he's going to throw more than he did last year? He gets CeeDee Lamb, who's arguably the new DeAndre Hopkins, so Zeke's going to hurt a little bit from that, but he's still going to be okay. But moving on to number 3, and I hate to say this because this freaking bowling ball of a guy is in my division, Derrick Henry. My God, can anybody tackle the guy? Can anybody tackle Derrick Henry? I mean, 250 pounds of just, no offense, guys, he's slow, but he just doesn't stop. So I love some Derrick Henry this year. Number 2, I don't know how you guys are sleeping on Dalvin Cook. What is wrong with the fantasy community right now? By the way, who's behind Dalvin Cook? Oh, hold on. Chunk, do you know who's behind Dalvin Cook? Oh, you don't know? Oh, yeah, I don't know either. I don't know anybody that's behind Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is still going to be the same guy, guys. Not only is he going to be the same guy, but with no Ferrari Stephon Diggs and only Adam Thielen, my God, they're going to have to get that guy involved. And then number 1, listen, you don't give a running back, a 3-year, $60+ million deal if he's not the everything. Christian McCaffrey, number 1, is the everything pick. You want everything? Pick Christian McCaffrey. He's going to give you everything.
As always, if you liked what you saw, hit the like button. Comment. Tell us your thoughts. What would you like to see? Also, make sure you subscribe because we're going to have a blast. So, you know what that means, fellas. Raise your glasses.
Yeah, baby. Good show.
Ah,
Cheers,
great show.
baby.
Appreciate you having me, bro. Love you guys.
Absolutely.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'm
Fantasy
so glad
4.
Joe's in my division. I'm so glad Joe's in my division.
Me too, bro.
I am.
I'm
Here you go.